cross-examination of Tumelo Madlala will continue at the High Court in Pretoria this morning. Yesterday, he pointed out accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, as the intruder who was pinned by Senzo Meyiwa in the kitchen minutes before the footballer was fatally shot. Newzroom Afrika's Mnisi is following that story and joins us live from outside court. Linda, a lot of quite dramatic testimony happening in court yesterday. Give us a sense of just exactly what unfolded.
Well, Michelle, just as you point out, Tumelo Madlala, the state witness, as well as close friend of Senzo Meyiwa, pointing out accused number 2 being Bongani Ntanzi as one of the intruders, in the house at the time when Senzo Meyiwa was shot and killed. And it's quite interesting, given, of course, the description that he gave of the intruders, and now coming out and saying that, the second intruder who was pinned by Senzo Meyiwa in the kitchen is Bongani Ntanzi. He says he's seen him before and it would be very difficult for him, to even forget. So that is the name that came out. You'll remember it came at the backdrop of the defense really objecting to the dark identification, saying the state had not laid a basis for what it wanted to do. So yesterday then, we saw that process of the dark identification taking place, Michelle, after the state also abandoned its decision really to have arguments on why it is important that this dark identification should be done. So that's one of the things that really stood out yesterday in yesterday's testimony, because also Bongani Ntanzi is one of the accused who is going to be applying for bail next week. If I'm not mistaken, it's next week, Thursday. The only, suspect or the only accused in the matter who's not currently serving time for any other crime.
Madlala also, as it's been described in various reports this morning, giving a bit of a monologue of a testimony when he was on the stand again yesterday. Take us through some of the other bombshells, shall we say?
Well, you would have heard yesterday Tumelo Madlala being asked about his participation in the Netflix documentary that came out just a couple of days before this trial started. And the defense, the lawyer for accused number 1, Titi Tobani, putting to him that in fact he was paid to participate in that documentary. And he says, yes, he was indeed paid to participate in that documentary. It was not only the participation that he was paid for. He says he also gave, the producers of that documentary pictures of Senzo Meyiwa. He says those are pictures that were in his phone, pictures that were of Senzo not necessarily playing football. But he says the reason why he also asked them to pay him, Michelle, was because he, was participating during his spare time. This was his spare time that he was using, to participate in this documentary. And of course, you would have heard, the defense also putting it to him that there was an argument that took place in the house, and that it was, Kelly Khumalo that mistakenly pulled the trigger or in fact, the gunshot went off when the gun was in Kelly Khumalo's hands, that later struck Senzo Meyiwa, leading him to die. And he says he's not aware. That is not the truth. In fact, what is the truth is that there were intruders in that house. He was also asked about a very controversial issue, the issue around how Senzo Meyiwa could have had sexual relationship or sexual relations with not only Kelly Khumalo but her sister Zandi Khumalo, and Tumelo Madlala basically saying that he wouldn't rule that out. He would not confirm or deny, because Senzo Meyiwa did indeed love women. And that question came from the defense, trying in fact to lead character evidence, but it was later withdrawn after the judge really objected to that, saying he wonders what the relevance of that is, given the fact that Senzo Meyiwa is not around to really defend himself. So those are some of the, interesting testimonies or the interesting events that took place in court yesterday.
Linda Mnisi back at court for us as the case continues. Live to us there in the High Court in Pretoria. Thanks, Linda.